Question 3, use the process from problem 2 to rewrite the area as a sum as a product. The questions below will guide your process. All right, when given the area as a sum, such as 6x squared plus 17x plus 12, place the 6x squared and the 12 into the correct locations in the generic rectangle. All right, so I'm hoping not to confuse you guys, so just bear with me. You know from last unit, I've done a couple of the filling in the table different than the classwork. And other than today, all the boxes are always blank, so it's not going to be an issue, although today would be a little confusing. So I'm always, sorry about that, I'm going to place my x squared term up here and my non-x term down there. And I know that's a little bit different from the last question. But if you do it this way, I think it's easier, I think it's better, and I think you guys will like it more. So if you just bear with me and follow along, I think you'll be okay. So we've got the 6x squared and the 12 goes here. So just like in the last problem, I know from my patterns on the front page that these two numbers multiplied have to equal these two numbers multiplied. So if I do 6 times 12, I'm going to get 72 x squared. So I know that these two numbers have to equal 72x squared. And I also know that the sum is that middle term in my equation. Okay? So the middle term is 17x, so I know that these two things must add up to 17x. So I have to think to myself what two numbers multiply to get 72x squared and what two numbers add to get 17x. Go ahead and see if you can figure that out. And if you did it correctly, you will get 9x and 8x. Once again, it doesn't matter where the numbers go. So I put the 9x there and the 8x there. You could have just as easily put the 8x there and the 9x there. But if we're going to check our work, 9 times 8 is going to give me the 72, and the 9 plus 8 is going to give me the 17. So I know that's going to work out perfectly. So these now go in my box, in the remaining spots. Once again, does not matter if I do 9x and 8x or if I do 8x and 9x. You're going to get the same answer. All right, so we got to fill out the outside of the box now. Right, and especially if you're using pen right now, please don't write this down because we're going to go through it. So can you think of ways to multiply to get 6x squared? And one way we could do that is x squared and 6x. I'm sorry, x and 6x. Once again, if you have pen, don't write this down yet. So now I want to see if it's going to work. So x times what number equals 9x? That would be 9. And 6x times what number equals 8x? Okay, 6 times what number equals 8? If we do it this way, we're going to get a fraction, we're going to need a decimal. I'm going to try my hardest to find a way to not get that. So this is not going to work. So let's switch them. Let's do x and 6x. Okay. And to start out, 6x times what number equals 9x? Once again, we're stuck. Okay. So maybe it's not going to be x and 6x. Maybe there's something else we can do. Let's try 2x and 3x. 3x and 2x. 3x times what number equals 9x? That's going to be 3. 2x times what number equals 8x? That's going to be 4. And just do the double check. 3 times 4 does equal 12. So this is the right way to have the box. So I know my area as a product is going to be the 3x plus 4 times this one that's now in order for us, 2x plus 3. Okay. Nothing's backwards like it was in the other box, so that's why it's nice to set it up this way and why I will always set it up this way in class. All right, and on the next question, we are going to use the process outlined in problem number 3 to factor the following quadratics. So for this one, we're going to put the x squared in the top left, and the 18 is going to go in the bottom. So now I need to think to myself, what two numbers can I multiply Okay, that's going to equal these two. So 18 times x squared is going to be 18x squared. So I'm going to have to find something that multiplies to get that. And then down here, we're always going to put that middle term. So my middle term is 9x. So I'm going to put the 9x down there. So what two numbers multiply to get 18x squared and add to get 9x? And that'll be 6x and 3x. So let's put them in my box. Right, this one's a little bit easier here. So how do I multiply to get x squared? There's only one way to do it. It's going to be x and x. Since they're both the same thing, we don't have to worry about which one goes where. Okay, x times what number equals 3x? That'll be 3. And x times what number equals 6x? That'll be 6. So my area as a product is now going to be x plus 3 times x plus 6. And if you wrote down x plus 6 times x plus 3, that's the same exact thing, and that is okay. Right, and this last one I'm going to ask you lots of questions on, so hopefully you guys are ready for this. Okay, what's going to go in the top left box? What am I going to put there? I'm going to put the 4x squared. Okay, what am I going to put in the top right? So the top right. All right, nothing. We're going to leave that blank because we're not sure what to put there yet. So how about the bottom left? Okay, going to leave that one blank as well because we don't know what to put there. So how about the bottom right now, the bottom right? Perfect. We're going to put that last term without the x, negative 15. Okay, my next question is what am I going to put in this top of the x that I've got written here, the top of the x? We're going to write negative 60x squared, and I got that from multiplying these two numbers. So 4 times negative 15 is negative 60, and the x squared is going to tag along with that. All right, what goes in the bottom of my x? 17x. Right, so then what are going to be the two numbers that multiply to get 60, I'm sorry, negative 60, and add to get 17? All right, this one's a little bit more challenging because we've got that negative sign in front of it. So if I'm going to multiply two numbers and get a negative, how do I do that? Well, one of them has to be positive, one of them has to be negative. So in order to get this, I'm kind of going to do some subtraction instead of some adding. So my answer is going to be negative 20x, sorry, positive 20x, and negative 3x. Okay? And if we want to check just to make sure, 20x times negative 3x is going to give me a negative 60x squared. And 20 plus a negative 3 is going to give me that 17x right there. So I can put these in the box, 20x and the negative 3x. All right, now I need to find the areas of product or find the outsides of the box. So first thing I'm going to look at there is the x squared, or the 4x squared. How do I multiply to get 4x squared? A couple different ways of doing it. But there's only going to be one way where this number is going to be a non-decimal. And if we're going to do that, then this has to be 4x, and this one's just going to be x. So 4x times x is going to give me 4x squared. 4x times what number gives me 20x? That's going to be 5. So 4 times 5 is 20. And then we've got the x. X times what number equals negative 3x? Negative 3. And then finally, just our check to make sure we did it correct. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. So we are good to go and write down my answer. It's going to be 4x minus 3 times x plus 5. All right, there we go. Hopefully you feel pretty good with this one. We are going to do more practice on this next time. So it would be okay if you don't feel 100% on it yet.